Right. Woohoo! Good morning, 1 Million Cups community. How y'all doing? Yay! Oh, there's so many familiar faces and so many people I want to hug. And so if I didn't hug you on your way in, please wait around. That sounds really, I hope, do we have any new people here today? Okay. It's okay, and I will respect your personal space if you want me to. Good morning. My name is Janya Anderson, and I'm going to be your MC this morning, obviously, and I'm with a little company called Gizmonics, a really, really little company called Gizmonics. Okay, so I did ask, and I don't think we have any first-time folks today, but I see a lot of, oh, I'm sorry, sir? Welcome, and I'm sorry, and there's this light in my face, so I didn't see you. Welcome to 1 Million Cups. Okay, this slide is your personal, private 1 Million Cup slide, as it's for folks that aren't regulars, which is great. So we get together, 1 Million Cups, free weekly program. We get together every Wednesday morning here at Dakota Stage, and we put some fabulous either startup entrepreneur, a community builder, maybe an entrepreneur who's been in our community for a while but has some wisdom to share with the rest of our community and around entrepreneurism specifically, and they share, and then we have a Q&A session where we all have a wonderful chat and share ideas and feedback. Ultimately, what we're trying to do here every Wednesday morning is change the face of our startup community over 1 million cups of coffee and offer that kind of grounds-up support to people who are doing really cool things. We don't do it alone. We have a wonderful team, an organizer committee that are all volunteers, and then our volunteers come from some of these businesses. Others of these businesses offer us financial assistance so that we can rent this beautiful space and offer you free coffee and do all those kinds of cool things. So if you see anybody wearing one of these logos today or know these businesses, please say a thank you to them because we appreciate them so much. And there's actually 3 pages of these logos, so we're really super excited about that. In fact, I have an email I need to get back to. We have someone who just reached out and would like to sponsor 1 Million Cups. So I'm like, ee! So we might have to break into a 4th. No, I think we can squish you into 3, but we'll see. Oh, and as I mentioned, and don't you all forget, we have Q&A at the end of every presentation. So as you're listening to Ashton today, thank you, Roz. So as you're listening to Ashton today, be thinking of some great questions, because she's got amazing wisdom to share. And in fact, she's going to be joined on the stage when she's doing her Q&A by her co-conspirator, I believe, Ben Brick. And then if you have a question, raise your hand, and Ross, my friend Ross, is going to run around with this huge orange 3D printed mug with a microphone in it, and you can ask your questions. And also, if you're streaming, if you're joining us online, feel free to type in your questions, and the tech team has this magical way of transporting those down to me here on the monitor, so we'll get those questions asked for you. I was just at a Star Trek convention, so yes, they will beam those down. So. All right. Oh, we have a lot of community announcements this morning. So let's see they're in no particular order. Oh, yes, they are. The first one is always what national day it is. So today is National Just Because Day. It's like living with a 5-year-old. Just because. Well, I had to look this one up. I'm like, what? Well, this is a national day for just doing those things that maybe it's that new pair of shoes you haven't been able to justify, and you're like, today is National Just Because Day. I'm going down and getting that. Or maybe it's, I'm calling in sick and I'm going fishing. Or it could be, I'm just going to call somebody I've been thinking of and haven't reached out for a while. So that is National Just Because Day. Evan, that's why. Okay. All right, we've got, this one also is a Marlo Anderson slide, so I'll cover for Marlo today. And this is a reminder, there's a music crawl coming up in Dykeshorn Park. In fact, all of downtown Mandan. So, there's a park element, there's all of downtown Mandan, but it's the North Dakota Music Hall of Fame induction ceremony, but there's going to be, it's honor of International Beer Day, which is like one of the best days of the year, other than Just Because Day, which, by the way, you can double up and you can have beer on Just Because Day. just because. Anyway, it's going to be a lot of fun. So mark your calendars. It's a little ways out, September 18th, but not that long out now. Let's see what else we've got. Yes. I'm so sorry, Bill. Yeah, and Bill, when you didn't make it from the airport last time, I gave you a heck of a testimonial, just so you know.
All right, well, we are bringing Michael Tridhard, who is one of the top trainers in the real estate world for small businesses and large businesses. This is an all-day event, and he's going to cover those 4 topics. Basically, it's a lead generation workshop. So he shows kind of non-paid ways to get first on Google, how to utilize your website in creative ways, how to use AI in creative ways, and then the riches and the niches is super fun just because, to give you an idea, someone told him he couldn't get to first with San Francisco homes, and he did it in Georgia, Atlanta. He purposely made it as the #1 website, even though it's called San Francisco Homes, it's the #1 search website in Atlanta for homes. So it's really good stuff, and you get a recording just for showing up. So if you're looking for new lead gen, new ideas, ways to spice up your business, come check it out. So thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Yeah, I went a couple of years ago, and before AI was a big part of that element, but it was amazing. Okay. Is my Walk to End Alzheimer's person here? Okay. She is not here today. She was here and spoke, a couple of weeks ago before we had our 1MC breakfast. And coming up October 11th, they've got the Walk to End Alzheimer's. And I wish you could have been here a couple weeks ago when she spoke. If you were, you could hear kind of the passion and emotion in her voice. So this is a really neat event. And if you get a chance, highly recommend you attend. All right. I know Mike is here. Mike, would you like a mic?
Sure.
All right.
Michael Fink with Silicon Plains. We are doing our annual parking lot party again this year. It is on the 11th of September from 4 to 6. After 6 p.m. is when the after party starts for those that have attended before. Please, if you would like to attend, you're all welcome. But please RSVP so we have enough food. We run out of food every year because we don't have good head counts. So if you're interested, scan the QR code and come on out, have some fun. We'll have drinks and music and food and lots of people. So, all right. Also, for those of you that don't know, Silicon Plains has been known for cybersecurity for a long time. One of the things you may not know is we've been implementing AI in businesses for years. So if you would like to know how to do that in your business, this is a free monthly webinar that we put on every month. Scan the QR code and you will get, you can register to attend and see what it's all about and how to implement AI in your business. Thank you.
Sweet. Thank you, Mike. That's a great follow-up to a couple of recent 1 Million Cups that we've had focusing on AI. And if you've been like, dang, that looks really cool, and I'm a little nervous to go that path alone, sounds like there's some great information shared. All right. Yep. Tyler's got this.
Morning, Tyler DeMars here on behalf of the Bismarck Library Foundation in this instance. So we have a silent reading party coming up at the library. I know that for some of you that might not sound like a real good time, but if like me, you have a bit of an introverted streak and you like to party, but maybe sometimes don't like talking or don't like people in general, this is great. Your event is here, okay? 6 to 7:30 on August 28th. It's going to be in the lawns. It's going to be an outdoor event. Bring a blanket, bring a chair, bring your own book if you like. Of course, you have a ton of books at the library you can rent out as well. If there's inclement weather, it'll move inside to the Missouri River Room, but the library's done a really good job of putting together fun events like this, and support the library. Come check it out, okay?
Did you have another one? Yes, but not there. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right, Janelle, the hard-fought community announcement.
Hi, you guys. My name is Janelle, and I'm with Love Always Floral here in Bismarck. I'm actually going to hand the microphone over to Teresa with Third Day Family Farm. She's going to talk a little bit about her flower farm, but we've got some really fun flower arranging and farm tour workshops to kind of talk about.
Good morning. I'm Teresa Dessenville with Third Day Family Farms. We're a cut flower farm northwest Mandan. We serve, well, we're a cut flower farm, so that's exactly what you would put into your vase here. So we have a few outlets, CSA program, we do the farmers market, we have a few retail spots. But a few years ago, we added in workshops, bringing people out to our farm as an agritourism type piece. Just sharing the beauty of nature, seeing where your flowers are grown. And we invited Janelle to come and do some workshops with us to teach floral arranging. So we do a guided tour on the farm, and then Janelle takes us through the flower arranging.
So yeah, we've teamed up and we've done over 20 workshops. I think by my head count, we're nearing 1,000. I think we're over the 800 mark. But we can go ahead and play that video again. It's just a really fun event for, it's more than just a night out. It's a chance for people to learn where their flowers are grown, see the farm, experience a little taste of farm life. There's little farm kittens that run around and are different every time I go. The flowers change. We've had repeat customers come back and back and back. So it's just really fun to see everything that Nathan and Teresa are doing in the Mandan community. And there was actually a grant that you submitted and won. Or were granted. So you've got a shop being built, and that was specifically for farm agritourism events in North Dakota. So really proud of the work she's doing. We've got limited tickets available. We've got our last summer series. We've got a 9 a.m. on Labor Day. If you want to come hang out Labor Day morning, bring a flower bud, come solo. It's going to be a fun time. So from 9 to 11 on Monday, which is Labor Day, and then the following night, Tuesday, September 2nd, from 5:45 to 7:45. So part farm tour, part floral arranging workshop. Tickets almost always sell out within a couple days. I've never been able to get here on a Wednesday fast enough with a Monday launch because they're always sold out, and I don't want to come and say, this is what we're doing, but you have no chance to attend. So we've actually got 2 workshops. I did check this morning, there are tickets still available, so get them quickly because they will be sold out. So I hope to see you in Mandan.
Awesome. Thank you. And Teresa, it's good to see you again as well. Teresa and her husband were on our stage, a couple years ago? Okay, that's fantastic. And they did a wonderful job. So if you want to see more about them, you could go watch, because we have our archive. You could watch from April of 2024 and see more details. That was great, you guys. Evan and I have been like silently go, oh, you want to go? Yeah, I want to go. Okay, get the ticket. Okay, hello, sir.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Jordan Weichel with No Brains, No Headache, and summer's winding down, so I'm done being a lake bum, and we're putting on shows again. Yeah, look at that. Turns out people don't want to go into a dark room when it's really nice and sunny out, so we are waiting until Saturday, September 13th at the Bell Mayhews Auditorium. Last time we were there, we set the record for the biggest show from a locally produced company at the Bell Mayhews. So that was cool. And we're going to go back. I'm flying in John Kennedy from New York City. We also have David Standel from Fargo, a couple locals in Sampson Hurley, Matt Cleary. I'll be hosting, and tickets are for sale, okay? You're going to want to buy those just because, okay? Just because you want to support local entertainment and just because the prices skyrocket the day of. So I would get those ahead of time. The QR code's there. Showtime's at 8, doors open at 7. It's going to be a great time, so I don't want you to miss it. Saturday, September 13th. Thank you all. Have a great day.
Awesome. Thanks, Jordan. All right, that's awesome. Okay,
Don't have a slide for this one, but I know we've mentioned it here before. The Mandan Business Pitch Challenge is taking place this fall. Again, this program has been on hiatus for a year, at least 1 year. Back this year, and the application deadline is this Friday. So if you go on the City of Mandan's business development page, you can find all the details there. You can find the application portal. I believe it only has 6 applicants right now. So if you know any newish businesses in Mandan or the surrounding areas in Morton County, I would encourage them to get on board with this program. I know Third Day Farms, this was part of your journey, and I think you had a good experience. In 2018, yep. So it's, you apply to be part of this. There's a committee that selects 4 finalists that will prepare a pitch, and there's a pitch night in October that's a public event where you go pitch your idea to a panel, and they will grade those pitches, and there's a nice package of prizes that get awarded that night. So Mandan Business Pitch Challenge on the City of Mandan's Business Development page. You can find more details there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Whew, that was a lot. Last call for community announcements. Okay, wow. So anybody that says there's nothing to do in Bismarck, just give them a little tap upside the head. Say, go to 1 Million Cups, you'll know there's a lot going on. All right, now to the main event, the moment you've all been waiting for. Woohoo! I've been waiting for it too. This is going to be so exciting. So, Ashton Hoff, if you've never watched, I think we've had the Good Kids on stage. Oh, I want to say maybe 3 times. They've got they're doing incredible things, and they've got amazing wisdom to share. So, I reached out to Ashton a few months ago and said, hey, let's do something a little bit different today. So, we're not featuring a startup. We're featuring some wisdom for startups, but also people that have been in business quite a while. I think Ashton's going to share a topic that could be applicable to really any of us that are involved in business. So without further ado, I'm going to let you come on up, Ashton. All right, and your clicker in, baby.
Thank you. Well, good morning, everyone. I'm excited to be here. I know it's in a different capacity than usual, like Janya said. I won't be talking about the Good Kids today, but hopefully I can help you attract the best and write off the rest. As we were kind of thinking about what to speak on today in the branding space, this one was chosen because we feel like it's something that may be like a tale as old as time, but it is hard to do. Even with us as a 5 to 6 year old company, we revisit this subject, and we're trying to consistently figure out how can we make everything more specific and targeted. So hopefully I can kind of rest your mind easy today and give you some tools to not make it such a scary thing or something that brings anxiety, but something that you can do with confidence. So today, I'm going to teach on how to get a clear picture of your current customer. That is always where we need to start. And then from there, we'll talk about your best customer and who you want it to attract. Sometimes that's already the same person, and sometimes you need to make a pivot. And then lastly, we're going to try to give you the confidence to say no to all of the rest, and sometimes that's the hardest part. So first, a little bit about me if we haven't already met. I am a designer by trade, so shout out to all my pencil and pen lovers. But I quickly found a love for entrepreneurship and community building, so I've been on this stage for a variety of businesses throughout the years. I'm the co-founder at The Good Kids. We're a design studio just a couple blocks away, but we really help turn your vision into velocity, and that's through intentional design and branding. And then over the years, we've used our unique slingshot method, which I'll go into a little bit more, with over 80 brands at this point over the last 5 years. And so we're a firm believer in the power of what we're sharing today. But really quick, sometimes when I say the word branding, people think of the Cracker Barrel logo, and they have no idea what it includes outside of that. So I just want to teach a little bit today on branding versus marketing. So first, branding is about making people feel something. It's really emotional based. It's the process of defining the soul behind the company. So you can kind of imagine your brand as like a person that represents your business. It's the ultimate salesperson for you, and we're trying to shape how they appear, how they sound, what they stand for. So it answers questions like, what does the company stand for? What makes the offering different? And how do others perceive the company? It's very reputation-based. Whereas marketing, on the other hand, is what you make people do. It's the action. Where do they show up? So it's about getting your offering out into the world. So it answers questions like, how do we reach our ideal customer? Where should we be promoting our offering, or what content should we be creating? So if you imagine that person that's representing your business, marketing is, where should they go? Should they go to 1 Million Cups to network with people? Should they be going, door to door? Marketing is about how you get your offering out into the world. So while marketing speaks to the mind, branding speaks to the heart. And we believe, even though we focus on branding, that both are essential to building effective sales funnel. You definitely need both. But when you establish a brand before doing your marketing, it's going to be 10 times more effective. And the good thing is that you can do that while saving time and money. So a strong brand is essentially like having a secret weapon in your marketing arsenal, because sometimes people skip that step. And so with a strong brand, the main things that you can gain from it, our customers are more likely to buy from you without as much persuasion. You usually don't have to do as much marketing. You don't have to spend those ad dollars because you're already showing up confidently in who you should be speaking to. And then secondly, you're establishing that solid fan base so you can spend less time on customer retention. So it's helping you on the front end, but it's also helping you keep those loyal customers. So instead of starting like a lot of businesses do, thinking about their advertising budget and how much they should be spending on Facebook ads, and then thinking about where we should show up and, oh, by the way, how should I look? How should I sound? What do I say? Instead, we're going to flip that on its head and we're going to focus on those things first, and then that way we have a clear guide and a clear pathway to where we should go and where we should put our advertising dollars. So essentially, a strategic brand propels your marketing in the right direction, really lightening your load overall. It builds consistency, and we know that consistency builds trust, and trust is what builds revenue, and we need revenue for profitable businesses. So today, this is kind of our formula behind our slingshot method that I mentioned, and there's these 4 different sections, but today we're going to be talking a lot about the customer in particular, so we'll be leaning into that. So I want you guys to imagine this. You don't have to close your eyes, but you can. Imagine that you are a 5 to 10-year-old business and you've built this product and it is your baby, right? We've been there, I think. And you've put your heart and soul into it and you put it out in the world. Like maybe you have an e-commerce shop, and so all of these different people, you're hoping they purchase your product and they love it and they just understand everything about it because you're so passionate about it. But then you get Karen. Okay, you wake up one morning and she leaves you your first just like nasty review, 1-star review, and instantly you go into, well, did she use it the right way? She didn't use it long enough. She doesn't understand the use case. If I could have just talked to her and explained to her how to use the product better, you just go into that spiral, right? How could I make this Karen happy? But then you regroup. You take a deep breath, you keep going, as we do, and one day, you get this positive review from Katie. She's been following you on Instagram and DMing you for the last few years, and she finally made that purchase, and she leaves this product review 3 years later and just says how wonderful it is, she can't live without it, and you're just satisfied personally, your cup is fueled. These are the types of people that you want to be, getting in your inbox every day. And that emotion is so different, right? It's a win-win for you because Katie is now living her best life. You feel satisfied with this product and this baby of yours that's out in the world doing what it's meant to do and designed for. And so when we talk about niching, there are so many benefits, but I think we often forget about the personal joy and satisfaction we get by helping the right person and by helping the person that it was meant to, it was designed for. And so when we niche, we say goodbye to things like wasting time creating content that doesn't stick. I think a lot of times we get the question of, what do I post on social media? And yes, AI will give you a million ideas, but you still need to sort through those ideas to figure out what you should post. It will help you save countless hours debating business decisions. I know it's easy to get caught up in this, well, let's do a new offering, let's do a new product line, let's add a new flavor. And it's hard to make those internal choices if you're trying to please everyone. And we can also say goodbye to just internally criticizing yourself over those bad reviews and those complaints. If you're confident in who you're serving and you know it's Katie and it's not Karen, that bad review is not going to matter. It's just going to, come off your shoulder, and you're going to be so much more energized by the work you're doing, and it's not going to be such an emotional stumble. And so we're going to be able to say hello to focusing on your marketing and your efforts just with higher ROI. I know that when you focus on niching, they say that your conversion rates are 10 to 20% higher, and then you also have 10 to 15% higher customer retention. So again, it helps on the front end, but then also on the back end. You're going to be able to say no with confidence to make room for a bigger yes. It's easy to get caught up in the whirlwind, especially when you're trying to please everyone. So your calendar's full, you're exhausted, your tank is low, but when you have that space, you can say yes to the people that matter the most. And you can ultimately find meaning and purpose in the service you're providing. I think whether you're at a company, whether you've started a business, you're probably in your role because you enjoy it and you believe in what you're offering. You want to help people. And sometimes when we get stuck in pleasing everyone and the Karens of the world, we're just defeated. And so by niching, we can really just fuel everyone and fill our cup with the people that will energize us and keep us going. So I have 3 steps today, and the first is who makes up your current audience. Like I said, this is always the first step, and sometimes people, when I ask that question, they have gut instincts, which is great, and usually they feel like they don't have data or something to look back to, but there's actually a lot of easy ways or hidden ways that maybe you have data that you didn't even know about that you can look to find information on your current customer. And so the first is customer surveys. They don't have to be a big, scary thing. You can use free tools like Google Forms. Typeform is a fun one, has a little bit more design features. A lot of times, like a POS system like Square or others will let you ask a simple question like at the end of their checkout process. Or things like SurveyMonkey, and that's a little bit, there's free plans and complicated plans for that one, so you can really grow with it over time, but we really love using SurveyMonkey. There's also a lot of customer data hidden in things like your Google Analytics. That is a free tool, so you can set that up today if you haven't already. Your social stats, if you're on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, you name it, on your profile, if you have a business profile, you can easily look in to see even the last week, last month. If they don't give you the full gamut that Google Analytics does, you can still see who's been engaging with your content to get an idea of who it's serving. E-commerce reports like Square and others also usually have demographics in there. And then email marketing tools, they all kind of feature different stats and things, but it should give you a nice, good high level. So if you're kind of unsure where to start, this is a great place to look. And then also, I think we forget about testimonials. You know, we can look at things like Google reviews, Facebook reviews, Instagram DMs, LinkedIn DMs that are just informal, right? Or even past client emails and try to just track down, you know, who said it, how old are they, what's their gender, what's their stage of business, and things like that to see if you can spot any trends. And then when you do that, you really have to get to this point of, you know, who's hiding behind our surveys, testimonials, and our data that we want to serve. Is it our ideal customer, or are we really still talking to a lot of Karens out there, and that's where a lot of our hurdles are happening. So once we do that, we need to decide who do we want to serve. And so that's where we have 4 or 5 different sections here to start carving out that profile for you. And the first, I have to separate this because there's our B2C companies and our B2B. So if you're serving direct customers, you want to consider things like age, gender, family life. Are they married? Do they have kids? Because that can wildly impact their purchase power. Where are they located? What's their job title? What industry do they work in? What is their household salary? Sometimes they're working, but their partner isn't. And what is their education? So again, just high-level demographics here. And if you're serving businesses, we need to look at the business as a whole, right? And so we're going to look at things like location, industry, how many years have they been in business? Sometimes different offerings appeal to different stages of that business. How large are they? What's their core offering? Their annual revenue? And ultimately, who's the point of contact? Because essentially what you want to do is once you define that point of contact and their typical role or title, then you can look at those B2C demographics that I just talked about and really hone in on that type of person versus the company. Because ultimately, we always want to boil it down to that person that we're going to be speaking to. All right, and this is where I start to get more excited because demographics are more so surface level, and they're a great place to start. But when we look at branding, again, we want to appeal to that heart. And if, I just know your age and your gender, that's really hard to do, right? It's going to matter on what does your daily life look like? What are your motivations? And so we want to start talking about things like wardrobe. I know that sounds silly, but like how do they show up in the world? Because that can say a lot about them. What are their daily routines? What does their morning look like? What does their evening look like? What do they believe? That really is motivational, especially to Gen Z, so we want to unlock that. Who are their social circles? Are they downtown on a Wednesday morning here at 1 Million Cups, or are they, out having a good time on Friday night? Who do they hang out with? What are their hobbies and interests? How do they spend their weekends? What are they Googling? Where do they get their news? What are their spending priorities? Sometimes you can have a very similar persona, but some people are very cheap and frugal, and some people love spending money, so that's important. And then we also look at brands that they admire, and that's because we want to really get inside their head and see if there's commonalities amongst the brands that they're choosing to support. And so I have a fun little game for us today. We're going to play a game of Guess Who. So the three brands that I'm going to show you are most beloved by a teacher, an empty nester, or an active mother. So those are our 3 potential answers, okay? Are we ready? See if you're awake this morning. All right. So any idea, you guys can just yell out, which brands appeal to one of those 3? Or sorry, which persona do these brands speak to of the 3 that I just shared? Teacher, empty nester, or active mother? A couple different ones. So these are empty nesters, right? Their parent or their kids just got out. Now they're going to reinvest in their hobbies. They're going to be traveling more. They care about their health. All right, let's try another one. What about this one? We have 2 left. Active mothers or teachers? Perfect. Yep, we got that one right. So you can see how we can start to spot trends with who they're engaging with. And our last one, you guys know the answer here, but got some good Diet Coke for all those teacher fans out there. So again, we start to see, how are they engaging with, what are the brands that they're working with. And then we want to dig another layer deeper and talk about their motivations. What are their top life goals? What season are they in? What are they thinking about? What's their biggest dream in life? What's their deepest desire, and how can we appeal to that? Who is their source of approval? Is it their husband, their parent, their kids? Because sometimes you need to speak to those people too. Who are their heroes in life? Who are those Instagram influencers or political leaders that they look up to? And ultimately, are they looking for a sense of control? Are they trying to leave a legacy? Are they trying to connect people? Or are they trying to learn something? And that can really give us an indicator as to which personality we need to lean into. And then challenges. Honestly, this is probably the most important of all of those because we're trying to meet a pain point and we're trying to speak to that first before we present our solution. So we really need to have a good idea of what is their biggest daily headache. And this could be personal, this could be professional, but we need to know what's getting in their minds. What is their big fears? We know their dream, but what are they ultimately scared of? Is it loneliness? Is it the fear of failure? All sorts of things like that. And then what are their top pain points? Obviously, we have to look at that in the lens of your offering, but even if you can think just a little bit wider, you might be able to come across a whole new angle that you can speak to that person. What are their buying triggers? Are they experiencing something that makes them purchase? Are they Googling something? Are they going to, social media and Instagram, and then their friend refers them? It's really important to know like what action in life is triggering that purchase. So for example, with our branding agency, we've learned over the years that there are things like expanding their locations, having a new location, new leadership, if there's a new CEO or director coming on board. Those are all just natural steps that typically raise the question of branding, and so that gives me an indicator as how I can market ourselves and who I should be speaking to. What are their hesitations when they are looking at your product? If you can address those front on with your messaging content, that will also help. And then what are the consequences if that problem persists? So then we can start talking about engagement, which borders marketing, right? And like where you choose to show up. So what social media networks are they engaging with? There's a big difference between our Facebook users and our TikTok users typically. What are their preferred form of content? Because when we look at content marketing, you don't want to put out the best information out there, but then they never see it, right? And so are they listening to podcasts? Are they watching reels? Are they reading blogs? Where are they choosing to show up in their community? That could be a local event like this, or it could be digital communities like Facebook groups, LinkedIn webinars. Where are they interacting? And then kind of a bonus is, are they engaging with things like quizzes, newsletters, polls? Like how do they engage within those communities? And then how are they learning? Are they learning with webinars, how-to guides, free resources? Usually people are learning in some format. So these are all different ways that we can start to engage with that person. And then lastly, sponsorships or ads. Because once we figure out everything else on here, then we can really figure out where we should be spending and investing our money. So I do have kind of a quick worksheet that I figured I would share today that kind of goes over these things. Just a handy little resource for you. I'll give it a second so that everyone can scan it really quick. But hopefully, these are starting to just carve some intentionality behind who you're choosing to focus on. I think that makes it a lot less scary when we're really thoughtful about some of these choices. All right, and I would be remiss if I didn't talk about AI, right? And so if you have a million questions, because I just threw a lot of information at you, AI is honestly a really great tool to get started with this stuff. But I wanted to just quickly share what it's good for and what it's not so great for. So it's really good for just brainstorming possible motivations and challenges. If you're starting fresh, if you're starting new, and you need like high-level demographic information, or I'm trying to target this particular role, tell me about their daily life, it's great. It'll give you a nice, good perspective on that. And it'll give you a nice generalized picture. So again, it's a really great starting point. It's also really good at database questions, and so if you want to ask it things about demographics or stats or things like that, it's wonderful. And then if you do have customer data or things that you share with it, it's really good at reviewing that data quickly and forming some patterns, and so it's also wonderful for that. And then it's also good for just sharing information specific to your target industry. And so I just threw a couple up there, but they know those industries and they have data on those industries. So it's fun to start, picking its brain on how to serve those people. Where AI is not the best at yet, maybe this will get better over time, but it's not going to give you original audience data unless you share it. So you can't just say, my business is this, please tell me about my ideal customer or my current customer. It's not going to know because it doesn't have that information. If you give it that information, wonderful, it can review it, but that's where you're going to have to give it some of those reviews and data points that I shared earlier on. It's also not super great on picking up on like local or regional nuances, especially a smaller community like us. It has probably information as to, United States or even maybe North Dakota. But when we look at Bismarck, Mandan, it's going to be less knowledgeable about our specific community and like our cultural context that we have here, because that's not necessarily a data point. They're also not going to fully understand the emotional aspects of that person. I mean, naturally, that's where its kind of weakest link is right now. So your interactions that you're having with your customers are still going to be gold. You're still going to be more familiar with that person than AI. And so ultimately, our tip when it comes to AI is to use it for research, but just to constantly validate it with your own data that you're collecting and your own experiences by staying connected with your customer. Because again, it can give you a high-level generalized view, but when you want to get into that nitty-gritty, it's not going to replace the conversations that you're having. All right, so I wanted to share just a few prompts, if you like prompts. Here's a quick one to develop those demographics. And then we have one for your ideal customers' motivations, and one for just like where they want to engage. So I don't know, I'll leave that up just for a quick little screen grab, or maybe we can, you can pause it if you're watching on the live stream later on. But give those a shot if you're just starting fresh. And kind of see where it leads you. And then just a nice little bonus exercise that we got from our business coach. So not even a tool that we've created, but thinking about your target audience in a before and after stage, because then you can really kind of unlock a lot of that mindset that they have and put yourself in their shoes. So just a couple examples from the Good Kids. We know that before working with us, they have an inconsistent mess of marketing materials that they're just juggling all at once. It's very overwhelming. And so after, they have a clear brand guide that helps their marketing convert while making their brand unforgettable. Before, let's talk about the emotions, right? How do they feel? So they're just unsure where to best spend their time and their resources to maximize their efforts. And so hopefully after, they feel empowered to make marketing decisions that are consistent and effective. Their average day consists of checking emails, managing their team and vendors, researching new trends, whereas after, they're making those marketing decisions with confidence and leading the team with clarity. And what's their status? So their role is typically a marketing or communications professional, and after, hopefully, we're helping them elevate in their career to a CMO or marketing director. So again, just another tool to start thinking about things outside of those simple demographics. So hopefully you're feeling ready to focus in on your target audience, but we can't forget step 3, and that's remember to say no. So you might have to coach yourself. You might have to wake up every morning and say no, 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 no. But again, it's really, I don't look at it as who are we saying no to? We're saying, who are we saying yes to? And who are we making space to say yes to? And this will adapt and it will change as your business grows, as you get more clarity on your offering. So it's an ongoing process. Like I said, we're year 5 to 6 in our business, and it's constantly evolving. We actually just publicly released our industry niches on our website, and that was really scary. And we've internally known those things for a long time, but we did it. We powered through, and it's been wonderful. Honestly, it's given our team more confidence. It's given us more clarity as we're building resources, as we're thinking about new services to provide. We're always running it through that lens of, does this help, this particular person? And it's just given us so much focus and just really kind of propelled our efforts. And a pro tip, if you have a brand guide and if you do all this work and you kind of create that persona that I talked about, you can just blame your brand guidelines. You can just say, hey team, they aren't this person. I know a lot of companies will actually hang up a poster of their target audience on their wall because then they're seeing that person every day and it's reminding them of who they're speaking to. So you can just blame the brand guide. So let's wrap this up. Hopefully I'm okay on time. So now you're all set to get a clear picture of your current customer, pinpoint the inner workings of that best customer so you can really appeal to their heart, and then confidently say no to the rest. And again, you've got this. I know it's a tale as old as time, but it's really hard in practice. So if you have any questions at all, let me know. And I know we'll do Q&A here, but we also do free brand coaching calls. So if you feel like you've said all that stuff, but this is my situation, can we talk through it? Yes, I would love to talk through it and help. We have 30-minute calls that are available every Wednesday. So you could come to Well-Meaning Cups and then you could talk to me. And it'll be a great Wednesday for you. So with that, I think we'll do Q&A. Okay.
Ben Brick up on the stage, and he's going to be helping field some questions as well. But that was so cool. All right, come on, guys, you got to have questions because, like, I've got a million. All right, so Ashton, all right, no, you know what? I've decided I'm going to start with you. I had so many questions for you, but so you're sitting there in the audience. Ashton's doing all this stuff. Is there one thing you really, really, really wanted to add, but because you weren't on stage, you couldn't?
My goodness. No, Ashton did such a good job up here. I helped kind of build this deck.
He did all the illustrations, so if you liked the really cool persona.
Yeah, Karen's face is probably my favorite. And then, but yeah, so I got to put my input at the beginning.
Okay, just wanted to open that door. All right, Tyler.
Ashton, Ben, thanks for the time this morning. It's been so fun watching you guys over the last 10-ish years and what you built and the portfolio you built. Looking at branding and the process of how often you revisit that, right? It's not a one-time process, and so kind of a two-part question, which isn't great. But so what would be your suggestion? How often do you revisit your brand guidelines? And as you've done that with the Good Kids, what have been the biggest lessons learned, or how have you evolved in your brand as you've gone through that process and kind of iterated?
Yeah, there's no, I guess, magical time frame. I kind of equate building your brand like growing a garden. If you nurture it and you continually engage with it, things will grow. But if you do it once and you set it aside, it's gonna die. Brands are changing every day. We see it on social media all the time, Cracker Barrel. And so you need to be engaging with it all the time. I know, like, for us, we always do an annual meeting just as a business, and a brand is like a part of that conversation. Are we still speaking to the right people? Are we still showing up in the right spaces? And that borders marketing, but you need to be paying attention for sure, like all the time. But for us, we do at least an annual check-in to like really focus in on that.
Yeah, and there's such a balance because we can kind of do it whenever we want. We have a team that does this for a living. So us as a team, we really have to show some restraint when we want to redesign the logo every year, and sometimes redesigning the logo can really boost our business. I know when we started out, we had a logo that was a little bit more, I would say, like youthful. That's a good word for it. And then our name was really youthful, but we were doing something so high level and professional, in my opinion, but that it didn't really click. So when we had the annual discussion, we were like, we really just gotta reskin this whole business, and that was a huge success. We found a lot of success just from moving the brand up to a much more mature level. Was a big success.
Yeah, usually companies only go through like a major brand or refresh maybe every 10 to 20 years if the company is strong and being successful. If you're a startup, obviously you need something right away. And then usually around the 5-year mark, you kind of have this like epiphany of like, okay, are we sticking to this? Is this the big dream? Is this the big plan? And that's usually when people like really invest in their brand because they want it to stick around and it's not just an experiment anymore.
Can I borrow that for just 1 moment? Evan, I'll get to you in 1 second. We do have something just came in from YouTube, so I just wanted to acknowledge our folks that are joining us virtually, and they were having a little trouble accessing that worksheet and asked if it could be linked in the chat, and I think we'll be able to do that. But the great news is someone's like, I want that worksheet, and I know we want that worksheet, so we'll get on that. Yes. Evan.
Ashton, you always do such a good job of taking a lot of information and boiling it down into something, as you're going through those points, it just totally makes sense. You look at it and you go, well, duh. But I don't think it is that common. So if you guys could speak a little bit to kind of the state of companies that you sit down and talk with in that context, how much time are they spending doing these things? Are they aware of these things at all? What and does that differ with size of businesses? I'm just kind of curious what you see out there in the wild.
Out in the wild. I mean, usually, like nowadays, we're working with businesses that are, like I said, 5-10 years in, and so they do have some customer data to pull from, but maybe, again, it's more of a anecdotal persona. They haven't really defined all of those qualities that I just talked about, and so it's not necessarily that they don't subconsciously know who that their target audience is. They just haven't done it on paper, and they haven't done it as a team. And so it's a really clarifying exercise when we go through this in our process, like I mentioned, because they really see the magic and the nuances of like, oh, I thought we were serving this age group, right? And so they thought they were on the same page and they're not. Or, oh, I thought we were serving somebody who has a daily routine like this and our hesitations were this. And so when you kind of pick at those details, you can just really get aligned as a team. And that can happen, right as you're starting a business with your co-founder, your board of directors, your advisors, or it can happen, with the businesses that we chat with. But it's honestly very, very rare that somebody hands us a persona and says, this is exactly who we're serving. And so that's kind of where I wanted to preface, like, I know that it's a common topic, but for some reason we have a lot of hesitation with niching and focusing in on an audience, and so hopefully these kind of give you some confidence in that area.
Yeah, I always think that you can do all the planning in your head as a leader, but if you don't have it written down, your team doesn't fully know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. So it's good to get it all, even if you just get your team in the same room and you're clearly communicating it, it's so important to get everybody on board with where you're going, so.
Awesome. You want to ask Art?
Yeah, so Ashton, can you hear me? Am I on?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, I've worked with companies for like the last 35 years, startups and all kinds. We have like customers like Google and Palo Alto. I would say that your presentation and all those years of experience was probably the most succinct presentation on branding, marketing, and advertising. So kudos to you for what you covered. Very, very impressive. One of the questions, when you think of startups, I guess, it's always difficult for a startup when people say, well, do you have any questions? It's really difficult to ask a question when you don't understand the topic or the material. Mm-hmm. But for startups, what would be the 2 or 3 things that you would recommend that they do in regards to branding, right? Because they're just starting, they're not really well known, they're going based on their own authority, they're trying to get out in the marketplace, and they're building their go-to-market strategy. What 2 or 3 recommendations would you have for a startup company?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say, right now it's an experiment. And so you kind of need to treat it as such. And so even if you don't have a customer base that you can go to for the things that I talked about, you can still ask your neighbor, ask your family, ask the people that have either experienced your product or, you're trying to appeal to in that sense, to just get some internal feedback and see what use cases might fit or what demographics might fit. So I would just say, go crazy. Ask someone about your product and see if it meets their need so that you can kind of start spotting those trends. I will say, that's kind of where AI is helpful too. You can start to just ask it a million questions, run it through some scenarios, kind of get a high level focusing point. And then we didn't talk about it today, but another piece that's just wildly important with branding is discovering your personality before you jump into your visuals and your messaging and things like that. And so we use a tool called Brand Archetypes. We have a quiz. Maybe we can send that with the other resources, but there's essentially 12 universal personalities, and depending on the type of personality that you want to project in the world, you can really lean into that, because someone that's the outlaw, like let's see, Harley Davidson, is going to present themselves a lot different in the world. Someone like the caregiver, like Huggies, right? And so you can have the same offering, the same benefits, but you can present it in two totally different personalities. And so I think it's really helpful to at least try to stick to one right away, because then you know that you're going to consistently present yourself. And that's the hardest part, I think, as a startup, is when you don't have that defined. You can show up 20 places in one day, but if you look and sound different at every single point, you're not connecting those dots. And that's what you need to do when you're building brand recognition. And so defining that personality, I think, is a really great tool to start building a reputation.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have, one of the things I love about Ashton, and you a little bit, Ben, is she's I love everything else about you. But, these guys, Ashton's a very process-oriented person, right? So that's why I left you out of that a little bit, just a little bit. Very process-oriented person, and so that's one of the things just I love, because I think of branding and marketing as just chaos, right? Creative, and it is, but yet you've added that beautiful structure to help us think it through. So they put out, is it every other week, your newsletter?
Yeah, every other Tuesday.
Every other Tuesday. And I'm not, my job title isn't marketing or branding or anything, but Evan says it is. So yeah, I guess at Gizmonix it is. And I have 5,000 pumpkin gutters I need to sell. So anyway, if people wanted to get on, I find her newsletter, your whole team's newsletter, and amazingly helpful, and it's always got links to other resources and all of that. If people wanted to get on that mailing list, and is that okay with you, first of all? And how would they do that?
Yes, it's definitely okay. We could talk branding for days, so you're not going to bug me. Johnny is wonderful. She always replies to the newsletter, and it's wonderful. I love that.
I'm a groupie.
But the easiest way, I guess we have our social there, but our website is just thegoodkids.co. And that's where we have our newsletter sign up. We have our coaching calls. We have a whole resource library of freebies like that persona sheet that I shared. Lots of goodies.
Perfect. Thank you. I love it. Okay, can you make it quick, because we're on to our last.
Oh, okay, yes.
Yeah, get it.
I haven't
Come
thought
on,
about
Kyle.
Cracker Barrel for years, but it's all that we talk about. Why do people get so up in arms about something like this when there's a misstep?
Do you want to talk to it, or do you want me to?
Well, it's funny because people identify with logos, and they get an experience from Cracker Barrel, and that experience is very eclectic. And they feel a little bit of ownership when they go in there and they have experiences there. And that logo, that older logo, represents all the fun that they had in the past. And so when somebody tampers with a logo and takes away the eclecticness of it, there's going to be a lot of people who come out and don't like it. I think it's a phenomena. I don't necessarily think that the redesign deserved as much hype as it's had. And so I don't really know why it's blown up the way it has. But really, I think the thing was that they took away the eclecticness of the logo, which represented the eclecticness of the space. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that, Ashton?
I think I've heard a lot of uproar about people being mad about the interior design changing because they said that was a piece of it, and like Ben said, that was really important. And so I think a lot of people took it out on the logo because it's easy to do that. And funny enough, they've been using that simplified word mark for over a year now. They released it in 2024. They just were also using the old school logo, and so this was their commitment to only using the more minimalist logo and letting that other, guy kind of be in the background in all their marketing materials. He wasn't going away. They just going to use him in different places. And so, yeah, it is kind of crazy at the emotional reaction, but we know change is hard. So it's never a surprise when a big company that's been around like them for a long, long, long time changes that you get a reaction. But to the extent of the reaction, who knew people were that pumped on Cracker Barrel?
Well, and I don't know if anybody remembers, but the same thing happened to Pepsi maybe 10 years ago when they redesigned to that marble that kind of looked like a guy with his pants are a little bit low or something like that. I don't remember exactly. I saw a lot of stuff online. But I think it's just easy to critique, and it's fun to jump on a critique train and just join in on the fun of like, yeah, that's not how I would do it. You know, I think it's just fun, especially for designers. And so I think it's just a lot of hype for not a lot of, you know.
Guys, this is so much fun, and I know, Arnie, you've got another question, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to call it. Folks in the booth, my clicker is not advancing, so could you take us to our last question of the morning, please? And maybe none of us can? And keep going. There we go. Okay, Ross, if you would, please.
So I think, thank you very much for your presentation today. I think all of us learned quite a bit. This question is a little bit out of character for this one, but what can the 1 Million Cups community do to help you to continue to succeed, or maybe what can we do to help ourselves?
Yeah, honestly, to help yourselves, I think some of those free resources would be helpful, because then you can kind of look at the collection and just decide what makes sense for you guys. If you want to help us, honestly, we're looking for more educational opportunities like this, because at least in our community, branding isn't talked about as much as marketing or advertising. And so if there is a workshop, if there's just a one-on-one consult, if it's a speaking opportunity like this, we're always looking for ways to teach more about the impactful power of branding.
Yeah, and I think if you want to help yourself, I think one of the best opportunities that the Good Kids has right now is a free consult with Ashton, and I'd open myself up to that too. But a free consult with Ashton is a big deal. So get after it.
I'm putting that on my list. Okay, big round of applause for these two, please. Oh, it's just so fun to look out there and see all those great faces. Okay, so I want to be able to do that next week. So here's what's coming up. Next week, we've got Align Life Works. So, and then following up on that, we have Bella Health and Wellness. So we've got a kind of a couple in a row that really speak to, I think, health and wellness. And, you know, as you head into fall and you start thinking about those comfort foods are on the horizon and all of that, this might be a wonderful time. And plus, these are new businesses in the community. So please show up and give them our love and our support as a community. And then the 3 weeks out, on September 17th, we're hoping to have our Bismarck Riverfront Development come and speak to us about the hopes and dreams and plans of what's going on with our beautiful riverfront. So we've got some fun things coming up, and I hope to see you all back for that. And then if you would like to present, we only have a couple more slots available for the rest of this year, but if you or someone you love would like to get up on stage, because pretty fun, right? Kind of cool. You get to hang out here at 1 Million Cups. You can use the QR code in the middle, or you can use send us an email at that rather long email, but it's wonderful. It's 1mcbizman701@gmail.com, and we do check it daily. So pop us a little note, and we'll get you on stage. I think that's it. Come next week, bring a friend, and Judy, bring 2 friends, and then if Judy's only 2 friends short of being able to win the Community Builder Award, so for bringing the most guests. So anyway, thanks everybody, have a fabulous day, and if you've got more questions for these 2, you can trap them and not let them out the door. Okay. Yay. Sorry, I said you could. These are so awesome. Oh, yay, I'm so glad you were here. Fabulous. And your timing? Okay, what did I? Okay.